Hey folks, Randy here, Dulin Cut Trim. So today, while I was out mowing a yard, the wheel belt broke on me, and I always carry tools and spare parts in the back of my truck, so I figured I would film myself replacing the wheel belt in real time. I wasn't really sure how long it would take me, and actually I did it a lot faster than I thought. Could have done it a lot faster if I didn't have rusty vice grips. Right now, I'm trying to get the vice grips to the correct measurement, or I don't know, whatever you call that. I'm trying to get them twisted just right so that they'll lock on to the nut back there. And of course I was having a really hard time doing that, so first 30 seconds or a minute or whatever this video is just me trying to get that figured out. But I finally got it and started looking for the correct socket. The only tools I needed for this was that vice grip and a 3/8 socket set. But okay, I'm clumsy and dropped that. So I found the socket I needed. But with tools going back and forth and stuff I've been doing in the shop, I didn't have my full kit in the truck, so I ended up finding this 3/8 ratchet that was completely covered in gasket maker stuff. The gasket maker tube had broken open in the back of my truck, and so this ratchet is covered in it, so that's why that ratchet's covered in a napkin right now. That stuff is like, it doesn't really dry. It's really disgusting on your hands. So I'm taking that off. I've done this many times before. You pull the bolt out, which is what I just did, and that releases everything in that spring that kind of makes the handles go back. That's what shot that thing forward. So I bend back the cover that protects that whole assembly and take the old belt off. Mechanic showed me this trick. I used to jack the mower up, and then found out you could just roll the wheel over it, and it's so much easier. So I always feel kind of clever when I do that, and just roll it back onto the new one, and man, it's so much easier. I feel like an idiot because I used to use a jack to lift the mower up in order to get that belt on there. And then you realize, like, man, I didn't do that. So this part would have been way easier if I would have just let the spring go, or actually disconnected the brake. But I was lazy and didn't feel like doing that. So I ended up having to wrestle with that whole assembly a lot more than I probably needed to, just because I didn't feel like pulling the pin out so that I wouldn't have to deal with the brakes. Also, I always have a little bit of a tough time getting the belt adjusted for getting it on the pulley that goes around the wheel. So, but got that taken care of, and it was time to put that whole assembly back on. I think that's around the time I realized I wasn't really sure where the spring went. So I rolled it around, can't really figure out where it's at. Eventually realized, it's literally like sitting right at my knee, I think. I was really kind of like, there it is, yeah. So putting the spring back on, and this part is always the hardest part for me, because you gotta get the spring on just right, and then you gotta put the spring around the deal where the bolt goes through, and then the spring actually just kind of rests against the frame of the mower. So it's not like, I really like this mower, but the way the springs are set up, to me, is just a little goofy. Like, I feel like Toro didn't really spend a lot of time trying to design that part, which, is nice because it's a very simple system, but it also can be kind of a pain in the neck because it's a really simple system. So I'm trying to get that all set back up, and then I also kind of messed up here because I didn't bend that metal cover back far enough, and so that made trying to get this assembly back together a real pain, because things didn't want to line up right because that cover was bent. I suppose if I wanted to do it the correct way, I could have just unbolted that cover, but I don't like doing that. And now we're at the part of this video where I completely block off everything I'm doing, and you can't see a thing. So I'll just tell you what I'm doing here is I'm basically putting the whole assembly back together, including the spring, and then trying to bend the metal back while at the same time shoving the bolt through the hole so that I can hopefully then catch it with the nut and kind of tighten it just enough so that everything won't go anywhere, so I can then put the vice grips back on and, you know, tighten it back down with the ratchet. You know, not the best way to do that, but you know, it's kind of, you know. So let's just all sit here and admire me from behind. Great view, definitely. I think I'm finally getting it. Not sure what I'm doing. Honestly, I don't remember. I have no idea what's going on right now. This is kind of boring. I have zero idea what's happening. I mean, I know what's happening in general, but as far as like, oh, I think I just grabbed the bolt and I'm putting it back on. Score! We're not going to be looking at my backside for much longer. There we go. Getting close, buddy. There you go. Oh, I'm feeling like we're getting there. Yes! Yeah, go ahead and drop the vice grips. Of course, like I said, I'm clumsy. Put the vice grips back on. You can do it. There you go. And now let's grab the napkin-covered socket, ratchet, whatever. Start to put that sucker on. And while you're doing that, notice that the spring looks like it's not right. There's something not right with the spring. And that's because somehow the spring got caught between the that whole assembly there and the frame of the mower. And so I can't get that whole assembly closed as much as it's supposed to. So the only thing I can do is loosen it back up and then try and find something to try and pry that spring out of there. Because I'm definitely not taking that whole thing apart. So I'm looking in my tool bag. Like I said, the bag's pretty empty because I keep borrowing tools out of it while I'm working in the shop. Because a lot of stuff I don't have doubles of yet. So I'm looking through. I find a screwdriver, but it's covered in gasket material, and I really don't feel like using that. Like I said, like everything is covered in gasket material in that tool thing. So none of it is stuff that I want to use because it's gross. At some point, this camera's going to shake. There it is, and that's the sign that I've gotten my tool. So I'm sticking it in there, and I'm just trying to kind of hook the spring to get it over top of the whole metal piece where it's actually supposed to sit. So I think I actually was successful right here, if I remember correctly. I think I was. So, yep, there you go. Tightening it back up, and it's all good to go. I thought about it later when I was recording this video. I really should have recorded me driving off, to give it a satisfactory conclusion, but I didn't do that. So this is what you got. In conclusion, me talking while you're looking at a blank screen. Thanks for watching.